Although John Lennon and Paul McCartney collaborated closely as songwriters, there was an underlying rivalry between the two, as they often sought to surpass one another. The duo were responsible for the vast majority of the Beatles' musical catalog, and, during the band's early years, they would work side by side on new material at Paul's childhood home on Forthland Road in Allerton. As the 1960s progressed and creative differences started to surface, the two began composing separately, each crafting songs individually before presenting them to the other for input or fine-tuning. Nonetheless, all songs produced while they were in the band were credited to Lennon-McCartney, an agreement they had established before gaining widespread fame. John Lennon mentioned that Paul ended up singing the bridge in A Hard Day's Night because John couldn't hit the higher notes required. Paul, in a 2018 interview with CBS's 60 Minutes, also reflected on the competitive nature of their partnership. He stated that although it wasn't openly discussed at the time, both of them later admitted to feeling that pressure to outdo each other. Imitating John's mindset, Paul imagined him thinking something along the lines of needing to get to work after hearing one of Paul's strong songs. Paul confessed he would feel similarly when John came up with something impressive like Strawberry Fields. Paul would be inspired to respond with Penny Lane, drawing on his own memories of growing up in Liverpool just as John had. When asked whether John ever gave him a compliment on his songwriting, Paul recalled just one occasion. He believed it happened around the time of the Revolver album, with John quietly expressing admiration for Here, There, and Everywhere. Paul remembered John simply saying that it was a really good song and that he loved it. Paul admitted that the moment stuck with him so vividly that he still remembers it today, even if he found it a bit silly to hold on to it so tightly. On the other hand, Paul believed he was more generous with praise. When asked whether he ever complimented John's songwriting, he said he did, and often felt more comfortable doing so after having a drink or two. Despite the ongoing rivalry, their working relationship remained deeply intertwined. However, one writer suggested that a particular song may have shifted the balance between them permanently. In his book, John and Paul, A Love Story in Songs, author Ian Leslie argued that Yesterday, released in 1965 and written by Paul, marked a turning point in their dynamic. According to Leslie, the song symbolized a change in their creative balance. Up until that point, they had operated as equals, but Yesterday wasn't just successful. It became the most covered Beatles song by other artists. Paul even performed it solo during concerts, which may have triggered insecurities in John. Released on the Help album and later as a US single, Yesterday is a melancholic reflection on lost love and regret. It gained widespread acclaim and was even voted the greatest song of the 20th century in a 1999 BBC poll. Paul once said that the melody came to him in a dream around 1964, which left him worried that he might have subconsciously copied it. He described waking up in a small flat above a house, with a piano next to his bed, and finding the tune fully formed in his mind. Since it had a jazzy feel, and his father had known many jazz standards, Paul feared he might have remembered an old melody rather than composed something new. To be certain, he played the tune for friends and colleagues, asking whether they recognized it. He recalled that he went around for weeks seeking confirmation that it wasn't unintentionally plagiarized. Eventually, he felt like he was handing in a lost item to the authorities. If no one claimed it, he reasoned, then it was truly his. Once confident in its originality, the song was given the working title Scrambled Eggs, while Paul and John searched for appropriate lyrics. John later said that the song had been floating around for quite a while before they finished it. Each time they met to write new material, it would resurface but never quite reach completion, until eventually they finalized it together